Welcome, welcome. This is for you. Today's video, honor versus self. This is super, super important. And I want to start this off with a question for you. Do you choose honor first or do you choose self first? And how I will contextualize this, frame this is if you're making a deal with a business partner, and you have a chance to take 70-30 versus 50-50, which one do you take? Take a second, think about that. I'm going to give you a moment because I really want you to consider this. But let's say you think real fast and you're already at your answer. Which answer is obvious to you? Which answer makes the most sense for you? And I'm not talking about a close friend. I'm not talking about a brother. I'm not talking about a family member. I'm talking about business partner. So let's say they're not exactly a stranger, but they're not exactly a friend. Business partner. If you're in the control and you can take 70-30 or 50-50, which would you take? It took me 31 years to get to this understanding of life. Well, actually, you aren't really conscious until you're like 10. So I'm 31. So let's say 21 years of conscious living. And then you're only an adult for 13, for a little bit of time. So I've only been an adult since 16, 15, 18. So it took me all of that time to understand the honorable option might not be what's best. Maybe you should put yourself over honor sometimes, and that might be more honorable because you're putting yourself before others. I would say for me, if you ask me that question generally, yesterday, some years ago, 50-50 seems appropriate. It seems natural. It seems best. If I have the control, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be honorable. I'm going to split it 50-50. And let's ignore finances. Let's say you have more than enough money, your expenses are low, your income is high. So if you take 50-50 or 70-30, you'll be good. To me, taking 50-50 just seems right. But I think there are some people watching this, and I think there are more people than you would imagine who are absolutely instantly like 70-30, duh. And maybe that's what you thought watching this. Maybe you're one of those people. It's not negative, but maybe you're one of those people who were like, me saying 50-50 is just clueless. It's just, why would you take 50-50 when you can take 70-30? And let's say the 70-30 isn't going to hurt the business partner. Let's say they're fine financially. They don't need the 50-50. They're not going to be mad at you if it comes out 70-30. Let's say that that's part of the context too. Why did you immediately choose your answer? I think that puts you in a certain box, which answer you chose. And there's no such thing as boxes. You shouldn't think people are one thing or another. So a box isn't the best term to use, but I think that kind of characterizes you a bit. So if you immediately thought 70-30, duh, that means you value yourself more than generosity. And that's not evil, that's not negative, even if it may sound that way. And I think if you immediately chose 50-50, that means you value generosity or honor more than you value yourself. And then, there's a deeper level. Maybe if you're choosing 50-50, maybe generosity, good karma is better for yourself in the long run. So maybe on a deeper level, that is choosing yourself because you're choosing generosity and the good karma that comes with that. And for people who chose 70-30, what I would characterize as putting yourself before honor, maybe that's the higher honorable thing to do because, as I've said in previous videos, you exist. This is the matrix. Nobody else matters except you. So maybe taking advantages and taking majorities where you can is the more honorable thing to do, because you'd be loving yourself. You'd be putting yourself over, you know, generosity to another person. You're being generous to yourself. So maybe even if you aren't spending extra, you're just saving extra. You're just investing extra. Or maybe you are spending. Maybe you take a nicer trip with that extra 20% you took. But bringing this back to general thinking and just general living conversation, I think when you're dealing with people, you should be very aware of what they're choosing and what you're choosing. So if you automatically thought 50-50, walk that back a little bit. I think you should be kind of careful, because is that really what you should always be choosing? Should you be taking 70-30? Should you be choosing yourself over, sharing in certain scenarios? And if you're somebody who immediately thought 70-30, are you somebody who is somewhat selfish in certain scenarios? Are you taking advantages where you should be splitting 50-50 and being more generous, more honorable? Both sides should look. I don't have examples off the top of the head. I'll try to think of one. Let's say 50-50 in a quick context would be like, if you go to the gym at 4:30 a.m. and your significant other wants to go with you, but they're not up till 5:30. So you would be choosing yourself if you just say, hey, I got to go at 4:30 because that's my routine. That's like 70-30. I'm going because I'm go at 4:30. You can get up earlier. But let's say 50-50 is you wait for the other person. So now you're going and starting your day an hour later than you usually do. Maybe you can't get a full workout in. Maybe you don't work out at all because, let's say, they slept in and didn't wake up when they thought. So let's say you're going, a quarter less time than you usually do because you're trying to accommodate the potential of the other person going. That's a good example, I would say, of choosing 50-50 would be like, oh, duh, like you want to come with me and I go at 4:30. I'll wait till 5:30 till you get up. And let's say choosing 70-30 would be like instantly like, if you ain't getting up at 4:30, you're not going with me. I think that's a great example, actually. And I know hearing this example is going to ring for a lot of people in their relationships, in their friendships, in their partnerships, in their family relations, because let's get back to that example. If you're going hard in life, you're getting up at 4:30 and somebody wants you to go at 5:30 instead, if you turn yourself down a little bit, and maybe there's a way to have both. Maybe you do some stretches from 4:30 to 5:30. Maybe you do some push-ups. Maybe you do something else in your schedule to replace that time you're losing. That's like the higher level. But if you're waiting and losing time, let's say, because it seems like the generous thing to do, you might be hurting yourself. Generosity wins in the long term, but maybe you should put yourself first and like, hey, I get up at 4:30. I go to the gym at 4:30. This is my effort. This is my routine. This is how I go hard. So if you want to come with me, you got to get up at 4:30 with me. Maybe that sounds a little rude, but that would be like, get on this train, get on this program, because this is the program that's making my life perfect and making me happy. So if I am going to diminish my program to accommodate you wanting to go an hour later than me, and let's say you're changing up your program. Now I'm reading from 4:30 to 5:30. Let's say you're filling that void, but it's still not your original program. maybe that is doing a disservice to yourself and putting and giving too much to the other person. Now, even on a deeper level, would that other person do the same for you? If they're willing to say, I get up at 5:30, wait for me, they're clearly putting how they get down first. So if they're not willing to get up at 4:30, they're choosing 70/30 their split. Like, wait for me. I'm getting up at 5:30 and I want to go with you. But if they were being 50/50, they would be like, oh, that person goes at 4:30. I got to get up at 4:30 to go with them. And to be real, I think that example, that question, that analogy could probably solve a majority of relationship problems that exist today. Because mostly what relationships are the biggest, hardest part is choosing 70/30 versus 50/50. And something that I want you to be aware of and careful of is the honorable people who choose 50/50 automatically. I'll wait for you to get up at 5:30. That's no problem. They're not that careful about who they're attracting and who they're going with. They're like who they're dating. So they're just going to love whoever comes along and is nice to them. But somebody who's choosing 70/30, they don't want somebody else who's choosing 70/30 because then that'll clash. That'll create tension because I want to go at 5:30. Wait for me. No, I'm getting up at 4:30. Come with me. Get with the program. Huh. That's going to lead to dissension and discord later on. So somebody who's a 70/30 person is probably being more mindful and careful to make sure that they pick a 50/50 person, while a 50/50 person is just probably lollygagging, going through life kind of dizzy headed, like, where do I end up? Who am I going to give myself to? Who am I going to split this with? So for my 50/50 people, for my honorable people, for my generous people, be very mindful of how much you're giving where you could be taking advantage. Because let's say you say, hey, I'll wait for you. I'll get up at 5:30. Or I'll wait for you. I'll go to the gym at 5:30. That's one thing that's different about your life, about your day, about your grind. And even if you replace something productive in that time, you've already begun to change a little. And let's say that carries on to another asset or another aspect. Like, I only keep fruit and vegetables and organic products in my house because that's my diet. But then your person's like, oh no, let's get pizza sometimes. Let's get takeout sometimes. And you're like, all right, I'll get that once a week. Again, you're making another slight change. And let's say you don't eat it. Let's say you're like, oh, when you get pizza, I'll still make my organic thing because you're trying to be on that highest level. Now that might be a little extra money that's being spent. That might be a little extra energy, like they're eating pizza right here and I'm making my organic stuff right here. So when we sit down, we're not eating the same thing. Let's say the energy's a little off because it's like that person might be like, they're better than me. They're eating organic and I'm eating pizza and they want to eat pizza with me. But let's say that it isn't even necessarily leading to negative outcomes. That is another small change. And enough of those small changes down the line, let's say now you're waking up at 5:30 to go with them. Now you're eating pizza every week instead of, your organic diet. Let's say you're going to a movie when you are somebody who doesn't want to go to movies. You want to just grind, but okay, I'll go once and I'll get my grind in a little later at night, or I'll miss my grind that day because I'm going on a date with you. I'm going to movies with you, even though that's not what I prefer. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? This is kind of perfect what I'm saying. This applies to men and women too, so I'm not being sexist. This is very important to be aware of because the person that you are once you've made enough of those 50-50 changes, is a different person from who you were. And that is meaningful. Make sure you're still you. Make sure you're still the person who is chasing what their original intentions were. Don't be like, I go to the gym later now. I eat differently now. My schedule's different now. My goals, my dreams have tilted a little bit because I'm being 50-50. And if you think about it, in that scenario, the other person isn't being 50-50. So they're like, I want to go to the gym at 5:30. Okay. I want to eat takeout once a week. Okay. I want to go to the movies once a week. Okay. That person, they're 70-30ing the F out of you. You get what I mean? So this is relationships. This is the tango. This is how things work. So when you love somebody, it's give and take. I'm saying a lot of this right now because I'm single and I don't have to do this dance with anybody. So if you are in a situation finding that you're doing some 50-50 where you were doing 70-30 or could be doing 70-30, try to lay it out. Maybe write it out and see if I'm doing 5:30 for this person, do they ever do 5 for me? Like, do they try to? I'll get up at 4:30, 2 times a week to be up with you. And then I'll get up at 5:30 the other 6 days or whatever. Or we don't have to do pizza every week. I'll try to eat organic with you most days, but I want to do pizza at least one day. And we don't have to go to the movies every week because I know that you don't like that. So I'll go, once a month instead. And I won't make you feel bad. That's especially important. That's the key, is depending on the person, depending on the relationship, as these 50-50s or 50-50s here and 70-30s here, there's going to be little tensions, little bitternesses, little sighs like, I didn't want to go at 4:30. You're making me go at 4:30, or the other way around. I didn't want to go at 5:30. You're making me go at 5:30. And those little tensions, those little sighs, after months and months and years, turn into unnecessary fights and arguments later. So now this isn't even about the movies. We're just packing for a road trip, and did you pack the chair? I thought you packed the chair. Oh, you didn't pack the chair. They're not really mad about the chair. They're mad because you made them get up at 4:30 all of those times and they didn't want to. Or you went to the gym at 5:30 all of those times and you didn't want to. So a lot of the tensions and heavy sighs and issues in relationships are over some earlier thing that got swept under the rug or that got covered up, because not like people are being deceptive and not communicating. It just might not be that apparent. Like, wow, this person kept making me get up at 4:30 and I low key hate it and I'm only doing it for them and they don't do anything that equivalent for me. So I'm huffing and puffing just more throughout my life because I want this person to stop making me go at 4:30 and I want them to get up and go at 5:30 with me sometimes. So when you're clear-headed, when you're able to see things as they are, when you're meditating or just controlling your thoughts, you might notice that and might communicate it and might be able to better make the relationship work by saying, hey, I've gotten up at 4:30 every day this month. Can we get up at 5:30 one time? Or I've eaten organic, healthy food every day for the last 2 months. Can we go out and get some pizza like I want to? That is the beauty of give and take. That is the beauty of relationships, because when those two people are both giving a little, taking a little, and watching it work out and watching the other person reciprocate, now we're like sharing a life. We're taking two lives and bringing it together into one super awesome life. And that is the beauty of love. That is the dance that creates powerful families. So if you find yourself even the slightest bit upset with your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your situationship, your couple situationships, your side piece, whatever, See where there's more giving and less taking. See who's on what foot. And even if you can't totally not make this an argument, try to communicate it calmly and clearly about, hey, I've driven to your house the last 10 hookups. Can you come to my place once? Or, I've paid for the last 10 dates. Can you plan a date? I've, you know, because nobody should just get trapped and obligated in a situation where they're doing all the 50-50 and the other person is doing all the 70-30. Because the point of me giving so many 50-50s was for you to return the generosity at some point. So when somebody's taking up, and they might not see it as bad, that's something that I want to really emphasize. The 70-30 people who put themselves first aren't doing a bad thing. That might just make sense to them. Why would I take 70-30 when why would I take 50-50 when I can take 70-30? Like, duh, there's 70 to be taken. I'm going to take 70. So just catch yourself and be aware of the relationship that you're in. Like, if you're a super generous person, don't be with someone who's super self-centered and they're just going to take all the generosity and think if you give 10 generosities and they give one, they're like, wow, look at me. I did something generous. And you're like, you still got 9 more to go. And they're not wrong, because if somebody's self-centered and a 70-30 person and they give you 150-50 for 10 50-50s that you've done, they might think I deserve an applause. Like, wow. And then they're not wrong to feel that way about themselves. And then that's going to brew and simmer with you. So now you're huffing and puffing. Now you're mad. Now you're getting overly mad about small things because you're expecting at least 5 more 50-50s to match your 10. And it's not coming because the other person doesn't see the need to. I'm speaking from experience because I've definitely found myself in situations like this, not just with my most recent ex. I don't want everybody to think that that's what I'm talking about for people who know her, but even situationships, side pieces. It's like, I'm tired of coming over every time. You come over sometime. Or I'm tired of texting you first all the time. You text first sometime. So cut out people who aren't going how you are going, who aren't giving what you are giving. My honorable people, my generous people, my 50-50 people, find somebody else who's 50-50. And if you aren't, and you're totally in love with the 70-30 person, set your boundaries. Like, man, I'm not getting up at 5:30 or waiting for you till 5:30 anymore. I'm getting up at 4:30 because that's really what I want to do. So every time I wait for you at 5:30, I'm selling myself short. And if that person loves you, which I'm sure they do, they'll understand. But don't lose yourself constantly giving in instances where you could be being yourself and taking advantages. So let's go back to the diet example. If you've been eating pizza once a week for months now, and you really are an organic eater, you're just doing it for the other person, say, hey, these next 2 months, we got to not do it because that's something that I'm trying to do. So you should understand. You should be willing to accommodate because I accommodated you. And that sounded a little rough, but in your relationship, in that dance, be aware of where the simmering and the arguments are coming from, because it's likely something like this. And if you guys can resolve it and communicate it before you're blowing up over each other over who booked the reservation at the wrong time, you can win and be happier before it gets there if you notice and are aware of these instances. So I think that's it. Another great video. That might be my best one. Honor versus self, 50-50 versus 70-30. Pay attention to the situation you're in, your friendships, your partnerships, your side pieces, your spouses, significant others. Make sure it's clear and equitable, because when you guys are being equitable, you will create a more beautiful life, because first, that person is going to be getting more from giving more, you're going to be getting more from giving more, both understanding each other more, both making new, better life. That is a great point. That is pretty much all relationship issues in a nutshell, unless you guys are like doing drugs or something. I don't know. That's different. But most relationships boils down to that. So, next topic, day in the life number 16. What have I been doing the last couple days? Worked out, of course. Yesterday, cardio day. Today, bench day. Getting pretty strong. Won't brag about it. I'm very pleased with the progress. It's been about 6-ish weeks now, only minus one day that I missed when I was on a family vacation. Imagine when I get to 12 weeks. If I'm buff now, I'd be super buff then. Again, I'm not really going super hard. I could be trying to really sweat and at the gym. It's good to do that because you get the demons out. But I'm still going the same smooth, steady pace. Slow and steady wins the race. So for my people still scared to go to the gym, go in there and be slow and steady. Been doing some fun stuff with my son. That's always, I'm getting even better, so much better at parental stamina. That's kind of like my only focus with him right now. He's only 2, so we're just doing fun stuff. I'm trying to be as attentive as possible, trying to be on my phone as little as possible, trying to accommodate him the best that I can, trying to make his days as good as I can. That's nothing new. That's me, big dad right here, dad of the year, dad of the lifetime. And then my business scheming. Been putting little effort into that lately. I do have some good ideas that just struck me yesterday. The ideas will just strike you. Keep knocking down that wall. And I'm going to put those ideas into motion today. But the business, I've already put so many hours into it. It's kind of just in a flow state. I'm in a flow state. Life is a flow state. So I only really have to tinker with it for maybe 30 minutes an hour. And then I'm done for the day. So when you start getting your business to where they're supposed to be, won't be that draining, won't take that much effort. And then I just been reading. I have read, I think I told you guys, 13 or 14 books by that author. Won't say who. I'm knocking out another book right now. It's super hot where I'm at right now, heat wave, and I'm laying in the sun, sucking all that good energy up, reading for maybe an hour, hour and a half. I've been eating good. I'm making my videos, making my shorts. That's pretty much it. It's my life right now. Not much else going on. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far. The Matrix cannot have you on TikTok, YodiTV on Instagram. See y'all Friday.